Let's talk a little bit about these criminal referrals that came down the pike. Obviously, the January 6th hearings concluded today. I guess this was the last day of their session before the new Congress takes over. So I guess they had to wrap it up. And 4 criminal referrals. So now the ball is in the Biden Justice Department's court as to how they will handle that. It's an interesting question because, look, the permanent state obviously wants to take Trump off the board. So it would be in the interests of the deep state to just go after him as hard as they can and just disqualify him from running. On the other hand, these are Democrats we're talking about, and it's probably to the Democratic Party's advantage to keep him on the board for as long as possible, because recent polls now have him trailing DeSantis again. And, look, you're going to go into 2024 if you're the Democrats with a weak nominee. It looks like Biden is running again, which is something I can't even say without laughing. Really, it's hard to get through that statement.
I know. Yeah. I couldn't help but laugh a little when you said
exactly. So if he's running again, I mean, the Democrats need every advantage they're going to get, and a fractured Republican Party could be one of very few things that could potentially save them. And so the longer Trump stays in the mix, the more bitter the Republican primary becomes, the more fractured the party, the weaker whoever the nominee is going into the fall. It looks like it's obviously going to be either DeSantis or Trump, even if Trump squeaks it out, which I don't think is likely at this point. Like I said, the longer he stays on the board, the more divided the GOP is, and that benefits Democrats. So it's probably in the Democrats' interest to just leave it alone, right? It's not like the libs who are obsessed with these hearings are not going to vote if they don't send Trump to prison. Like, they're going to vote for Democrats anyway, right? There's no real political advantage, really, beyond the headlines and, fundraising. Yeah, they'll raise some money off of jailing Trump for sure. That'll get the shit libs, checkbooks out. But they'll raise money either way. I don't think there's much political advantage for them to actually pursue putting him in jail. I really don't see the upside.
Yeah, but I don't know if they have yet fully made the calculation. I mean, maybe they're coming around to it. But at the time that they thought that this was to their advantage, they still believed in Trump's voodoo, that he had some magic power over the voters. It's not that you nominated the most unpopular candidate in the history of your party's nominations. No, it's Donald Trump has some secret sauce that makes the voters do his will. So I think when they set all this in motion, they thought they needed it. They might not necessarily feel that way now, but the thing has a momentum of its own.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. I think that's true. At the same time, though, I think things being what they are now, it's not too late for them to change course. And I don't think it's to their advantage to do this. I mean, look, in order to really disqualify Trump, you'd have to convict him, right? You're not going to convict him. There's no way. There's no way. And look, this is why sitting presidents cannot be arrested or charged. They have to be impeached. It goes through a political process because it's always going to be a political process. How can a president, even a former president who is a private citizen now, how can they get a fair trial? Find me 12 people in America with no opinion of Donald Trump going in, right? Find me 12 people who aren't going to bring some bias, right, to that process. It's very, very difficult, and it's extremely divisive. It's extremely destructive to the social fabric. So, are they actually and beyond that, what evidence do they have to actually prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he wanted that to go down exactly the way it did? It's tough to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt, especially when, as we've mentioned various times on this show, the Capitol Police let the rioters in the building. They took the barricades down and let them in.
I don't necessarily agree with your core legal theory here, or your core premise, because that argues that we can't prosecute out of office presidents. We can't ever prosecute them because the impeachment process obviously doesn't apply at that point. And I am sure you are among those who would like to have seen George Bush go on trial for war crimes. So under your premise, you can't do that.
Well, but it's very hard. I mean, yes, I
It's
would
hard.
personally like
It's
to see
hard.
George Bush go on trial for war crimes, but I don't deny that it's very hard to do that, and that would
Sure.
come at tremendous social cost, right? And so the calculation then becomes, well, is the benefit worth the cost? And you're dealing with a president now whose latest boss move was to sell NFT digital trading cards of himself dressed as superheroes. So what is the political payoff to taking him down a peg? He's already...
I hear
he's done, man. He's on life support as it is. Like, what is the payoff here?
I heard he's going to be the new Black Adam in the James Gunn universe.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He's replacing The Rock.
Exactly.
Yes, I don't know that they would choose to go this way if they had to choose it now, today. Because now Trump, it really does, they got burned so bad with the Pied Piper strategy last time.
Right.
I think it took these midterms for them to stop seeing Donald Trump as some kind of a magic man with some secret snake charmer power over the voters. But now it's too late. They've done this whole January 6th thing. It has a momentum of its own. I think, if anything, if they decide they want to keep him on the board, that'll play out at the Justice Department level. That'll play on the level of the Justice Department not pursuing it.
Well, sure. But that is the level that it's at right now.
Right.
They sent the referral in. So that's where it is now. No, there was no doubt that this January 6th committee was going to send a criminal referral. They weren't going to do all this and then not send it. The question is, does Merrick Garland pull the trigger on it? And I mean, it's tough to guess whether he's going to or not. But if I'm Merrick Garland, right, I don't see a good play on the field here. If I'm quarterbacking this, I don't see it as a play worth running. I really don't. And I know, Rob Reiner is going to be very upset about that. So Rob Reiner will send off a few angry tweets about it. But that's about the only political price you're going to pay. It's, Alyssa Milano and Rob Reiner are going to feel let down. But long term, I think it's in their interest to leave this where it is. I just do, because I think Trump is wounded enough already to the point where the longer he's in the race, the more fractured the Republican Party becomes. If you're the Democrats, you want to sit back and watch that play out. It's probably the only chance you have in 2024 is to let the Republican Party just destroy itself to the point where it's in no shape to run against even a weak candidate like Biden. You take Trump off the board now, they got the governor of Florida with unanimous support. He starts building his war chest right now. There basically is no primary. Now you're dealing with a very formidable opponent against Joe Biden for 2024. There's no incentive to take Trump off the board now. There really is none.
He might call him a dog-faced pony soldier in a debate, and that could turn the whole thing around.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
I think they've been smelling their own defenders of democracy farts for so long that they just might not be thinking that way. They might, but I don't know. They've spent so many years working themselves up into a lather about seeing Donald Trump go to prison. I don't know if they can stop the train at this point.
I don't know if these people understand that you don't really make too much news from prison. Like, once you go to prison, that's pretty much it. Nobody really hears from you anymore. Do they really want to say goodbye to Donald Trump forever? Do they really want to lock him away? I mean, really? Are they going to be able to quit him? Are they going to be able to resume life not following the latest Trump outrage? I mean, think about that. Do you really want him in jail?
That's true. That's true. I mean, Charles Manson actually ruined it for everybody. Charles Manson made so many TV appearances that they changed the law just because of Charles Manson. That's why you don't see these criminals doing the rounds.
Yeah.
These ghouls in the corporate media, they'll platform anybody. They'll have a Jeffrey Dahmer dinner party if there's viewership in it. No, Manson was like on a show every week.
Yeah,
before they passed a law about it. Yeah.
Those were wild. You want to, if you're ever bored and you want to just veg out to some old YouTube stuff, just YouTube some of that. Those were pretty wild.
Those were.
Please clap.